I'm telling you, you're lying.
All right, yeah. Evening, everybody. I'm not Steve. Steve's not here tonight. He had to take off. Frank, of course, is not ready and had to go run the Facebook feed, so he'll be back in a second. You're stuck with me for a minute. And Andy's here tonight. How you doing tonight, Andy?
Good.
I don't even know what we're talking about. I just know that Frank said, "Hey, come on." So there's not a big warm musical welcome because I'm actually up in my wife's craft room. That's where she moved my computer to. So.
Well, I think we're waiting. Barbara's supposed to join us too to talk about detectors for Christmas. I think
it's that time of year. Yep.
It's a good cause, and hopefully we get a lot of good support on that.
Yep. I think I saw her pop in. Yeah, she's on the chat and on YouTube. She's there. I guess that's where we're broadcasting right at the moment.
All right. Well, I know that here's Frank. So Frank talked about a couple of giveaways on the show. So we'll do another one here. I told Frank we'd put a little package together, put a fine pouch, 3-in-1 digger, and a shirt, T-shirt, or polo shirt of your choice from either MindLab or XP. So we'll do that later in the show. And if anybody's got a copy of my book, I'll give you a hint. Any of my books, might want to grab that. There'll be a question that the book might help you on, but we'll do that later in the show.
So, guys, listen. Anybody who's tuning into Detect America for the show, the simulcast, Facebook's not allowing it to happen tonight for some reason. So we are on my personal page, and we are on the YouTube Detect America page on YouTube. Because Facebook said no, not allowing me to do it. So they've updated. They must have updated their new rules and regs, and I haven't learned them yet. So we're on YouTube, and we're on my personal DA Frank Lipergola page. Now
Facebook has just made it hard for shows anymore.
Yeah, but if it's not a group, if it's a business page, you can run all the videos you want. But if it's a group, you can't anymore.
That don't make any sense.
Now, I'm sure Matt told you that Steve's not here. That splinter in his big toe keeps festering. He had to get that taken care of. So he will be back next week. And so we're here live. We're going to talk detecting. We have Andy. here. We're going to talk detecting. We're going to push his buttons. We're going to talk all about updates and this and that and whatever. So Andy said he's got a prize to give away. So we've got.
You already said it.
But I forgot to give away the last 2 weeks. So we've got the Hurricane Summer 2024 Ugly Box. And look, I got personal artwork on there. That's the little hurricane I engraved in it. And we're going to give away one of our the Ugly Puck. It's the Ugly Puck Silver Edition, and it's got a silver coin in. I'm not going to open it up. It's got a silver coin inside. You're just going to have to trust me.
He forgot to put it in there.
And listen, wouldn't be the first time I forgot to put it in there. So, Andy, what's been going on, brother? What have you been up to?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, I tell you, I don't know how much most of the country's gone through this drought. The river, Susquehanna River, you can literally walk across it and not get your knees wet.
That's crazy.
So, there's areas here that even the locals have said 70 years they haven't seen it this low. So we've been able to get out on the river. Sometimes you wonder about people. Somebody north of us, about 30 miles, found some Spanish coins. And of course, what do? They call the news station and they have to do a story on it so you can guarantee how many people were out there the following day. So, I don't know, sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut and just enjoy what you found.
You pulling any colonial off that?
I personally haven't, but we found stuff back into the 1800s. But I mean, I know there's got to be stuff down there. So hopefully this weekend we don't get any more white stuff like we did last weekend, and I'll get out there and hit it again.
It's horrible that you're going through such a drought, but it's the only time it opens up some of those areas. If you're a hunter, man, and one of the only times you get to go to the center of a river like that, as old as that. as much activity has been on that for 300 years.
Oh, I mean, when it's down, you can see the old fish pens, the old V's where they directed fish.
Right.
Some of the old railroad pilings are exposed now, and they haven't been exposed in decades. And you can just walk out there now.
And are you guys expecting any weather, or is it going to drought as far as the eye can see?
They've said we're getting rain, but it's a little bit of drizzle, and that's about it. Now the snow from upriver will probably raise it a foot or so, but it'll come back down again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, water wasn't anything we had a shortage of down here, Pat. Although, with all the rain that we had, the 2 hurricanes, I think there was a total of something like 28 inches of rain over 2 storms.
Wow.
We went out digging in the dirt, and it was dry as a bone down there.
Really?
Yeah, it was dry as a bone. Don't get me wrong, everything was granulated. The digging was easy, but it was dust. It was still dust.
Now we had 46 days of no rain.
That's insane. That's insane. I mean that's rough for up that area, man. You don't hear that kind of long-term drought up in Penn State, Jersey, and those areas. I know Steve.
I mean, the farmers were killed. I mean, the fields, the corn was 3 feet high, if that. But the problem with land sites is you can't hunt. We got permissions to hunt a lot of old homes, but you don't want to dig in the yards.
Yeah, exactly. And if you get now, the farmers don't give up their fields when they don't have a crop.
Now you can hunt it after the field. They've got the corn down, they've got everything tilled. Now you can go and hunt them. But still, any of the homes you've got permission to hunt. I've hunted my house, which is 1800s, but
right.
I'd like to hunt the neighbors, but I also don't want to get on their bad side when they see dead plugs all over.
Exactly. Matt, you been in the lake or you done?
Yeah, done with the lake. It's too dang cold. We were waiting for the lake to drop, but then we've had the hurricanes brought in more rain, and northern waters come down, filled them back up. Because this year they usually drop them in the wintertime. So when up north, when it melts, fills them back up. And the one that we've been wanting to get back to, where we found an old beach last year out past where you can go. I found like 3 silver coins, 2 silver rings, and silver ring. But normally it's above your head. And it's pretty well. But now I looked at the levels, and it's only down like 3 or 4 feet, where it should be down about 10 right now at least. And so we're just going to wait, and just got that new mana core, so trying to learn it.
And in case you didn't realize, Matt has one of those Fisher-Price computers like Steve has.
My computer's like 14 years old. It's hooked. It's wired directly to the internet. I'm not running.
You're clear as a bell. You're clear. You're not pixelizing like you were before, but your voice goes in and out. But most of the time, you're clear.
It's funny. You talk about it's too cold to get in the water. When I was years ago, when I was living up in New York and New Jersey, I mean, where we would hunt, most of those lakes were weed choked. So the only way to get in those lakes is after the lakes freeze.
Right.
And you'd actually cut a hole and dive underneath the ice. And, people are like, what, are you nuts? I'm like, well, it can't be colder than 32 degrees. So what's the big deal? We wear a dry suit.
Well, I want to get scuba certified. I've always wanted to, and I just never have. And
listen, I was for many, many, many years, and I still wouldn't dive down under the ice and do anything.
I'll tell you,
how certified I was. I'm not doing ice diving. No.
A lot of people.
I had to do a cave one time, and I'm not doing that anymore either.
A lot of people are getting into water hunting, and they want to do the diving piece, so they buy the blue Nemus and the battery powered hookahs. The problem is, I mean, I've taken guys that are Navy certified divers, and I learned how to dive in the East River in New York City.
Right.
So to me, zero visibility is what I'm used to. If you're not used to zero visibility and you hit the bottom and stir that mud up, these guys would dive and they'd come right back and up. Not for me. So, I mean, you got to be used to having your eyes closed a lot of times where you're hunting.
I've had plenty of guys that wanted to go. When we dove, we used to do the lakes all the time, and it was great. A bunch of my friends, they go, let's go do the ocean. We'll go out and look. If I can't see my hand, I'm not diving in that water. I don't care. I'm not a rescue diver. I'm I used to dive for fun, and that's it. Then that's it. I'm not diving if I can't see my hand in front of my face.
Yeah, that's Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier is they call it Death Lake and whatever. People are stupid, they drown.
Well, they say if you go out far enough in Jersey, the visibility gets better.
Oh, ours ain't.
Where are you from, Matt? Where are you based at?
Georgia.
Where?
Northeast Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I spent 12 years in Woodstock, Canton.
Okay, that's west, but northwest of me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm near Athens.
Touch base sometime. I've got a bunch of research material still you might want.
Oh yeah, be
I
awesome.
want to live down there.
Yeah, we love it, and we do a lot of research. But I still have a farm that's over here by me that is the founding town farm from the 1700s, and I have one brother that says yes. The sister won't give me an answer because her husband won't let her, and it drives me nuts every time I drive by it, and I got to drive by it at least 3 or 4 times a week.
We had permission. I had a friend of mine that his family owned the land across the road from the battlefield up in I just went blank. North Georgia, begins with a C.
Chickamauga or Canton?
Yeah, Chickamauga.
Yeah.
So we figured it, and it'd been in the family since the 20s, and he said it's never been hunted. Now the house overlooked this field. And we found maybe 2 bullets all day. I mean, 3 of us. So it was bizarre. Right across the street's the national battlefield.
Yeah.
And you got 2 bullets, 3 bullets.
Yeah.
You know, when we would dig in southeast Pennsylvania, of course you can't get near Gettysburg, but you get near a lot of farms on the outskirts. And I always said the same thing. If I'm on the battlefield and I'm firing a bullet in the air, guess what? It's not landing in front of me.
Yeah.
We found, you get a lot of targets to those farms and those fields right next door.
We found stuff in like regular houses and stuff. Like a lady up in my in-laws' town, her house was hit by a cannonball. The mark is still there, and you take a 6-pound cannonball, put it up against it, it fits perfectly. The cannon was over where the elementary school used to be, or is, and that's where they launched it from back then.
Right.
And her house was like one of the last standing from the Civil War in that town. And it was used as a hospital, and they
how far was she from the battlefield?
It was just one of the little local skirmishes in the town of Maysville. And her house is like known as, she calls it the town's house because it predates the town.
Right.
And it's the only antebellum house in like 2 counties that's left standing.
Okay.
It is a gorgeous house. We've hunted all over it, and we're not the only ones. Somebody else from UGA hunted it, and nothing significant Civil War had been found. But we want to go back one day and dig the iron targets because her husband finally said one time it was too dry to do it then. But he's like, "Yeah, you can dig them up. We can get a backhoe in there if you want."
They're kind of we had guys like that, farmers like that down in our area. But it makes me. I mean, listen. If I could get my coil on Gettysburg dirt, of course I would.
Oh yeah.
But like that down in Jersey, I used to go camping. I camped every weekend. I'd park my camper at this campsite for a month, and there was these fields out, and it's an old town. The town was called Woodstown. It's an old town, and there was this farm that backed right up to it, and they wouldn't. No, you're not allowed. Can't go across the property line onto the field. So finally, one day, I caught the farmer out there. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead. I don't care." And he went out, and I pulled a half a bayonet. I pulled a whole bayonet. I pulled a handful of round ball. It's not always in, you're not going to Independence Hall and finding those glasses like in that movie. You're going maybe to the house down the street and finding the good stuff. Yeah. It's not always in that main place.
You know more of the history of the Civil War than I do. Do you know of the Cusabo plantation near Savannah?
Dude, I'm from Jersey. I don't know anything down here.
Cusabo Indians.
Savannah's a tough place to hunt.
Yeah, well, my buddy Rob, he found out his high school friend inherited 300 acres there, and we are going to go in January and go
farmland.
It was, and now it's pretty much hunting land now. So it's the guy says he finds arrowheads sitting on top of the ground, and he's like, I bought a metal detector and I want to learn how to use it. Y'all come down and show me how to use it. And so we're gonna go in January and try after hunting season, and then
put it in Goldfield mode. Turn the sensitivity all the way down. So you find all the good targets.
Well, I'll tell you though, I when we were living in Jackson, Mississippi, I had a guy came over and bought a machine off, and we've turned out to be good friends since then. But he said, after he was done, he said, you come over to my house if you want to, you want to hunt, come over to my property. And I figured, he got like an acre or two? I said, well, how much property do you have? He goes, well, on this side of the road, about 1,600 acres. I'm like, turns out he's one of the biggest pecan farmers in the South.
How could you take that for like the rest of my life?
There was no plantation on the property, sharecropper homes. I mean, it was just, amazing what was there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to show us where all the old foundations are, all the old houses that are still on the property. He's got 300 some acres, and he said he's got a lease, which we can even go hunt detect on it, of another 200 acres on next to it. And what I'm going to do is, after we hunt one time with just the three of us, going to see how many we can bring back and see if we can get a hunt going on out there. Because that many acres, one person, he's never going to cover it.
Yeah, I mean,
so, yeah.
Yeah, but I hate to say this on DA, just be careful who you bring back, because 5 people turns into 50 people. I've done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be a few. Like, I already talked with Steve and Frank, and I'd probably invite them, and then a couple others.
I invited Steve like 15 years ago. Now I can't get rid of him. he follows me everywhere.
Frank, remember we used to do the boot camps. I mean, COVID kind of killed things, but we had permission on a spot in Gettysburg, and I made it clear. The property owner said you can use it the afternoon of the class,
right?
And that's it. And I made it clear to everybody, it's private property. We got 3 hours on the property. Whatever you find is yours, but don't come back. Don't talk to the property owner. He doesn't want to be bothered. So it was with 2-day class, 1 day, one class, 1 day, one to the next.
Right.
So my wife and I were out to dinner with some guys. We're driving back to the hotel, and I'm driving by the property. And I said, I think I see somebody out there hunting. It's like 9 o'clock at night. So I stop, I walk out there, and it's somebody from the class. And I said, what are you doing here? He goes, well, I didn't think you'd be here.
No kidding.
What the hell are you doing here? So the next day, there's another class, and I told them, here's the property boundaries. Don't cross the railroad tracks because it's national park property.
Right, you go to national park.
So me and 2 of the guys that were instructing, we're kind of keeping track. And I said, where's Jim? I don't know. And then I look, on the other side of the tracks, he's digging. He says, well, look what I'm digging. Look at these finds. I'm like, what part of this don't you understand? Get back over here, or when the Rangers show up,
one of the things people don't understand in that area in particular, Southeast Pennsylvania, they are, when you get into the vicinity of a Gettysburg, these people are hardcore. So we had with the college, with University of Pennsylvania, we had a group of kids. And we had one of the owners, one of the managing partners of Potato Chips, had big property out there off season. Let us bring everybody in, and we were out there and we were digging and we're doing, finding a bunch of stuff. And he talking to the owner, he's like, they're so sensitive about this. He goes, I've got a piece of fence because we got some livestock. He goes, I got a piece of fence that's broken. He goes, and in this town, you have to have a permit to do a fence repair because they'll come out and inspect it. He goes, I've been waiting 3 months. He goes, they won't give me a permit to repair my fence. He goes, you want to know why? He goes, because I got you guys out here digging. We would watch the Rangers. We would watch them park along the fence line and sit out there on their cars and watch us because they're so set. So if you get a permission, first of all, if you get a permission of any kind for your class or whatever in that area, don't stray from it, guys. Because oh my God, they'll pull the plug on that so fast. They are so hardcore sensitive to you doing something wrong or even digging anywhere near, that protected ground. I mean, tell you.
Well, I'll tell you, the only time I've ever gotten myself sideways back in 1976, before the ARP Act went into effect. So here's some 18-year-old idiot from New York drives down to Harper's Ferry, and I got permission from a farmer that had property that butted up on the national park.
Right.
And that's before the little white signs and, made sure you knew where the boundary was. Well, he's pointing it out. I thought I knew where the boundary was. So I'm out there hunting, and all of a sudden the ranger pulls up. He gets out of the truck, and he's standing there with his arms crossed watching me. Now, that should have clued me in, but, there's some idiot from New York, right? Well, apparently I crossed that magic line. He calls me down. He says, "You're hunting on park property." I said, "Where's the boundary?" He says, "You crossed it." So we get in the car. We go down to the Harper's Ferry Ranger Station, and he has me empty all my stuff. I probably found one bullet on the magic line. And everything else, I had a U.S. belt plate, found it on the farmer's field. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Everything got inventoried. The metal detector had a White's Coinmaster 5 Supreme. Still remember that.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, here's the deal." He says, "You can leave everything here, including the metal detector, get in your car and go back to New York. Or you can spend the weekend in jail, and Monday you can talk to the magistrate." Yep. So an hour later, I'm on the highway heading back to New York. No metal detector, no fines. So ever since then, I make damn sure I know exactly where the boundary is before I take anything out of the car.
Like I talk to guys, it's like that they won't arrest you. They won't take your metal detector. No. Like, it's faster than your head could spin. They will. I'll just say, they take their job very seriously there, and like we did. We did a farm that a certain digger show did. We actually did it first, but we won't get into semantics with KG and Ringy, and they will. It's not on park property. The back end of it abuts to it, but the entire time we were there, and we were there for maybe 2 days. We were there over a weekend. The entire time we were there wasn't a 2-minute span where you didn't see a ranger vehicle go by. They take it very, very, very seriously. They will take your stuff. They will take your machines. They will lock you up.
But you know what? Unless there's the Confederate lost gold. We lived in Mississippi. We had a weekend getaway place, and it actually it was 2.5 acres, bordered the national battlefield, Vicksburg, which is huge anyway. And I got a chance to talk to the ranger. He came over. We were talking. And the artillery trench line was literally 20 feet on the wrong side of our property line, but it was right there. We found a lot on our property. I'd love to know what was 20 feet on the other side of the property line.
Sure.
But he gave me his card. He says, "Here's my card, cell number, and everything." He said, "If you see anybody," because we had to put trail cams up because of idiots doing this.
Right. Yeah.
He said, "If you see anybody, give me a call." He says, "We get people at least once or twice a month at night, 2:00 in the morning, getting caught in their metal detector." Now, I don't know what's in there that they think is worth taking that risk, but you're facing federal jail time.
Yeah. Even if you're going in there with $1,000 metal detector, is it worth losing the $1,000 metal detector? Is it on top of the fact that you're going to, first of all, you'll probably be banned for life. Secondly, you'll probably spend a day in jail or two.
Oh, we had a guy came to the shop one time talking to my wife. He goes, "I think your house is at the end of Lover's Lane there in Vicksburg, right?" "Well, yeah, why?" "Well, I saw your truck. Now, you're only there on the weekends, right?"
I want to know when I can show up.
Yeah, excuse me.
Well, that's the thing, and we laugh because, listen, we're the old timers who have come up in this hobby. And listen, I'm not saying we didn't take it seriously. We wouldn't be in it, 40 plus, 50 plus years if you didn't take the hobby seriously. But you knew to follow the rules, and yeah, most of them are self-imposed rules, but you knew to follow them, and you learned that it wasn't worth the potential hazards of getting caught doing something you're not supposed to do. Yeah. Over there's probably a lot more stuff than over here. Over here, I don't go to jail and I don't lose my equipment.
Yep. But how much of that, again, I can use that as a segue to one of the things I wanted to talk about. How much of that is due to social media?
Social media is listen. I'm a social media fiend. I love the fact that we get big groups of people together and talk this hobby and everything else. But by the same token, it is the biggest detriment that we've had to particularly newcomers coming into this hobby who don't benefit from the experience that most of these newcomers don't even know what the code of ethics are. They have no idea. You can tell them they're clueless about it. And the guys that have been in the hobby for a year are now the experts, and they are just blowing smoke up their rear end like crazy. Listen, me and Andy's had this discussion, Matt, off camera, and it pisses us off every time we talk.
This area here, I mean, we're talking Northeast Pennsylvania. We're not talking huge history. It's just an old area, and there's a park, Columbia Park, which is it used to be an amusement park last century. We used to hunt it all the time. You're careful how you dig and recover targets. There's signs now. I had a friend of mine come. Actually, it was my brother. He was just up here. I took him down there. I said, look at this park, at the old swimming pool, everything. He says, Ben, this is probably great for hunting. I said, it was. There's a sign now, big sign, no metal detecting.
And when that sign says no metal detecting specifically, they busted somebody.
Specifically no metal detecting. Bloomsburg Fairgrounds, no metal detecting. And both of them are closed now because of people going in with shovels, leaving holes, leaving trash.
So
how many videos do you see on YouTube where they're hunting private permissions with shovels, digging in yards? I'm sorry, I've never done that.
Yeah.
And I don't care when people say, well, you can dig a better plug with a shovel. Optically alone, if I go to somebody's yard with a shovel, they're going to escort me back to the curb. I would.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But
I never knock on a door with my gear in my hand or nothing like
that. That's common sense. These guys come in camo, web gear, and sometimes a gun slung over their shoulder because they're going detecting, and they wonder why they didn't get permission.
When I lived in Georgia, I had a friend of mine that was a relic hunter, and he used to let me get permissions. He'd hunt. I mean, he was a local guy, but he wouldn't want to knock on doors. So one day he told me, he said, I've been trying to get permission. I can't get permissions. I said, well, what are you doing? He said, he gets up early, goes out hunting for a few hours. On the way home, knocks on the door to get permission. Sweated down, red clay. I'm like, I wouldn't even
open the door. You got a rack slung over his shoulders?
I wouldn't even open the door. I mean, let alone give you permission.
So there was a story going around, and I know guys have heard of it because social media has made these guys into heroes, local heroes. But there was a spot, and it's up in the Northeast. It's in the area where I'm from, that vicinity. And there was guys detecting, and there was gold found, and it was old gold. And they hit a jackpot. Well, for whatever reason, the authorities, including the FBI, were involved in the recovery of this gold. Now, these guys not only hit the jackpot by finding it, they hit the jackpot that the authorities came up and said, here's the deal. We need your expertise to find this. He goes, and there will be a finder's fee. You guys will get to keep a finder's fee. That was the deal that was made. Now, the story is the FBI, they screwed us. They went in, they took out all the gold. Well, I talked to one of the investigators. He's from our area. And he's like, no. He goes, we made him a deal. And it was a sweet deal for these guys that they would have never gotten any other way. And what do we find? We catch them on cameras, on trail cameras, at night, sneaking back in and putting this stuff in their socks. But social media is like, oh, they got screwed by the FBI. The FBI screwed them over. No,
I remember that story. Yeah.
Social media, like you said, Frank, it's a great way to bring people together from 1,000 miles apart and share.
Right.
Get excited about a find. Whether it's a ring you found at the beach or a cartridge box plate. But there is so much bad information by these self-proclaimed experts.
That's the problem.
I mean, my favorite is. It's like we never found anything with the old machines until iron bias. Iron bias is the magic setting that miraculously will make finds reappear. If you're hunting an area that's not iron infested, it's meaningless.
Iron bias does nothing for you.
If you're not using multi-frequency, it's meaningless.
Exactly.
But yet these people spout these, truisms. You see them testing. I've got a piece of wood and a plastic block, and I'm testing my driveway. And you can see how these settings make it, make a difference.
And look how fast I can go over the coin. It drives me nuts. And the worst part about it is that, and they invite people like you, like me. They invite them onto these pages, and then if you are brave enough to give a piece of advice, then you have to put up a shield because you're going to get that. And my favorite has always been, I got this coil. It's 15 inches as opposed to my 12-inch. It goes so much deeper. No, it doesn't.
On a double D coil, not on a concentric coil.
Especially, right, exactly.
Yeah. On a double D coil, people would tell me, I'm digging dimes at 18 inches.
Yeah.
I don't care what size coil. You're not digging a dime in the dirt at 18 inches. Not happening.
Maybe a Volkswagen.
24 inches on a mini ball routinely.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, not happening.
Yep.
The bigger the coil, the more you cover. You may get a little bit more depth, but not much.
And that's the thing that we always said when the 17, the monster from the CTX came out. Listen, I was excited about it. I heard the hype. This thing's going to find an Indian head at 3 feet deep. And we did the side by sides, and we didn't do coin gardens. We went to a field with our 11-inch coil, and we found a loud target, and we tested the different size coils before we dug them up.
In the ground, exactly.
Before we dug them up, and we were seeing a little bit on a 17-inch coil. We were seeing an inch maybe on a good hot target, an inch and a half on a good hot target. Remember, these guys don't understand that gigantic target has the same amount of windings as that little tiny target. Shape may give you a sweet spot, but this thing that you're getting, and I'm sorry, my buddy from Oak Island is the one who, he perpetuates it too. But the social media is the one that really, and if you tell them that you don't know what you're talking about, you're full of it. And it makes you not. I'm at the point where I don't get involved in those. Especially those beginners and metal detecting pages anymore.
The only thing I loved about my big coil on the CTX was just ground coverage in a big field that you only had like 1 or maybe 2 days to hunt it. That way
real
I could
estate,
get over
baby.
it quicker.
That was real estate.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't believe it helped. I probably lost targets doing that too. Getting massive with iron.
And then you get caught up in zooming along because you think you're covering more ground.
Well, when we were doing those classes in Gettysburg, you got close to the railroad tracks. It had 150 years of cinders that were around there, so the mineralization went through the roof. And what we saw, there were guys with a 17, there were guys with the 11, there were guys with the 6 on their CTXs. And if you run it on auto, you can see what the sensitivity is doing based on the ground conditions. Yeah. And with the 17, it was down to single digits. With the 12, you were around 10, 12.
Right.
And with the 6, you were up around 18, 19. So you were able to run at a higher sensitivity level.
Yes. So
in essence, what you lost with the smaller coil, you're gaining because you're going to higher sensitivity.
Yeah. Now, here's the question. Are you truly getting more sensitivity out of the coil, or is the machine head reading that it has to pump? Although that doesn't make any sense because it's the same size.
The machine is able to differentiate those weaker signals. It's not eliminating those weak signals, thinking it's ground, which you're seeing so much more ground on a 17-inch versus an 11 or a 6.
Right.
So people again. One of the guys that's the internet heavy lives in North Carolina, and he's hunting pure sand.
I wanted to ask you this because I used the CTX 3030 from the first year it came out, and I have to be honest. I run it on auto a lot. I run it on auto +3 a lot, and I'll drop it to auto +2. Until about 2 weeks ago, I really didn't even know that there was a negative side to that auto. So for the first time, I was in this park. I found the tensioner. I found the buckle. I found a couple pieces of 1930s, 1920s class of silver. And this back area where I was actually finding some targets was just chatter, and between bits of iron and bits of aluminum can slaw. I just had chatter, and the can slaw was coming in all over the place. It was mingling with the iron, it was mingling with the targets, and it was driving me nuts. So I started playing with the auto. I went to manual. I couldn't get it where I wanted it. I took it to the auto. I started dropping it down. I got it down to auto 0 basically, and it wasn't bad. So I hit the button again pretty much by accident, and I saw a negative number come up, and I didn't even realize that. So I ran this thing at auto -3, and with a grain of salt, because I'm just going to lose so much depth and so much sensitivity. It basically quieted out the intermediate chatter, the chatter between the hot targets.
Yep.
The aluminum came in at a number every single freaking time I hit it. It was that number. The iron, for lack of that, the iron almost went away. Didn't go away. The big stuff didn't go away, but my targets popped. I had really good numbers. They were accurate where I'm used to seeing them, and the aluminum can slaw came in at a specific number right around that every single time I hit it. I never knew that existed. That was the first time that I ever did that on a chattery piece of ground, and I can't believe how well it worked on the CTX.
What I tell people on any machine, that's one of the things we tell people, and I don't care if it's an XP, a Nocta,
Right.
Mind Lab, it doesn't matter. The machine will tell you it's not set correctly.
Right.
Right. So what you need to do is understand the machine and the settings to say if it does this. For example, if I'm holding my XP or a Mind Lab and I'm holding it stationary and it's chattering.
Right.
That's due to EMI.
Right.
If it chatters only when I'm sweeping it across the ground, then I've got to adjust something, right? I need to know what it is.
Whatever is giving
deal
that
with the ground and what's in the ground. And it's that simple. The machine will tell you your sensitivity is too high, your ground balance is off. You need to redo your ground balance.
Right.
And that's something that it just really makes it simple, no matter what machine you're using.
To the ground balance, because I haven't done that in 15 years either.
On the 3030?
Only time I've ever ground balanced the 3030 was up in the red clay. That was the only time I ever ground balanced it.
The only time I look at that is when I tell people you need to turn it off. Don't use it. That's not what it's there for.
Right. And to be honest with you, so as I was playing with this auto -3, it was one of the first times in a long time I actually did ground balance it. And ground balanced it and wouldn't get rid of all that crosstalk between hot targets until I did the auto -3. Even well, I guess if I lowered the sensitivity in manual low enough, I probably could have done the same thing. But when I'm in manual and I'm lowering it down, I keep feeling like the machine's useless at this low level of sensitivity.
The machine is always I always tell people the machine is smarter than you are.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
So I put it on auto and let it, whether it's -3 to +3, it will figure out where it needs to go. If I'm at manual, there are guys I know over in the UK that run it at manual and max it out at 30.
Yeah.
And I can't hunt that way.
If I can get it to 30 and it's quiet, I'll go as high as I can go, but I can never get it that high.
It's chattering, and they say, well, you'll hear a good signal. After a half an hour with headphones on, I'm ready to throw the machine in the ditch.
Yeah. I got used to the Equinox 800 doing that. I run it like basically it's on crack, and I did my CTX for a little bit, but 800 more, and we'll see how I do with the Manicore. I don't know. Today
so
was
where do you run your Equinox?
Huh?
Where are you running your Equinox?
I'll run it. Well, here in this Georgia Red Clay, I'll usually run it 22, 23 on sensitivity, and just basically just where it starts just getting chatty, and honestly, I do very well with it. Don't bother me that bad.
I mean, there are guys in the UK that I've hunted with that run it at maxed out at 30.
Yeah.
And there's some hotter ground there. I can't hunt that way.
The thing that shocked me was not only did I get it. Listen, the machine had quieted down for me long before I got to -3. But when I got to -2 and -3, the thing that opened my eyes that I literally hadn't seen before was this array of different size can slaw all of a sudden went quiet and compartmentalized into one or two numbers. And I knew when I hit it, I knew exactly what it was. When I hit iron, I knew what iron was. When I hit a target, I knew because it was something different. That was the thing that shocked me. I had never really seen that because I could quiet the machine down and still have a bunch of junk with can slaw. And this really kind of isolated the can slaw and these aluminum targets into a little category that I could identify.
So tell me where you were hunting. Two of us will go down and we'll find all the gold rings you passed up.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Because I've been in Florida 3 years, I got one gold ring. Oh, it's right around the corner of my house, man.
More lakes than you do in Florida.
What's that?
I find more gold in my lakes than you do in Florida.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Especially right now. Right now, I got to get a backhoe and get through the 3 feet of sand that Milton blew on the beach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just probably a little over half my gold bought me a new Manicore this year. So.
Well, but my first target down here, my first old target down here was a Real, and then Celeste found her first old target since I've been here was a large scent in the same park. The same park, but just a half a mile away in a different part of the park. But
yeah, a large scent.
Not just a large scent, a 1797 large scent.
Really?
About 10 feet. Now you got to realize, and the reason. So when I moved to Florida, the first thing I did, I had her take me around and show me. I said, where can we go digging? So around the corner from me is a park, and we're walking, and it's all biking trails. There was an old kind of like I guess like a workman's village in there. So we're walking around this park, and there's some nice trees, and then like a sore thumb is this tree that's probably 15 feet across, if not more. It just sticks out like a sore thumb, all by itself in woods of these little tiny trees. Behind that is, I think it's called St. John's Inlet, and it's the closest point that the Gulf comes up into this section. And I told her, I said, there was commerce going on here. I mean, this is too far. This you got flat land in a marshy area. You've got the ships can come really, really close in. So I said, as soon as the snakes and the spiders don't want to crawl across my face, I said, we're going to go in there. And we went in there. I think the first thing we found a buffalo nickel. I think we found Wheaties, a couple Indians. And then I got a nice, deep, loud signal. And it was a 1630s Real, beat up, tiny one, smaller one. And then 15 feet, maybe 10, 15 feet away from that, she dug a 97 large out of it. And then, but we've got literally a 2 to 3 week window to go in there and dig when everything's down and the bugs are down to when with that particular day, the third daddy long legs that crawled across my face was the end of my digging that year last year. And I was like, we'll go back after
just some bug spray and you're good.
We were down there in Vicksburg. We had 3 friends of mine who were out there hunting, and it was 28 or something in the morning. It was 40 something by 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's colder, right, especially there. And a buddy of mine comes over to radio and says, hey, come over here, but watch your feet. I'm like, it's kind of weird. We can watch my feet. So we're walking back, and he's standing there. He's pointing. He says, what, you see that? We had just walked up that ridge where he's pointing. I'm like, no. He said, no, look closer over there. And I'm looking, and finally I see it. It was about a 6-foot canebrake rattlesnake curled up in a ray of sun coming down.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the hell is this thing doing out in 40-degree weather?
Sunshine, baby. You got to warm it up.
Dude, that's like deer hunting one year. It was dark, getting our spot. Sun comes up, and I just was looking around, see what's around me. Finally, luckily it's just a black snake, but he was sitting in a branch right above me.
We went.
I'd be out of the tree.
Let's put pictures of it. We go down to a couple of the beaches, down Honeymoon Island, Clearwood, or wherever. And the one day we're on the Honeymoon Island beach, and we were finding nothing. So she goes, well, there's a beautiful beach around the corner. They call it Dog Beach. It's you bring your pets out.
Oh yeah.
And we park our car. It's a beautiful sunny day. There's people on the beach with their dogs. You got to walk down this little path that's overgrown with the brush. And we're talking, and I'm dragging a metal detector. and I hear Celeste go, "Oh my God!" and turn around and right dead center. And this is the path that all these little tiny dogs are running up now. There's a 6, 7 foot rattler curled up, right, just like you said, in the ray of sunshine. And being the hardcore detectors that we are, self-preservation instead of running, we both pulled out our cameras. We're trying to take pictures of it. In the meantime, this thing rose up and was starting to go towards Celeste. So finally, we backed up enough where it took off. But this is a new animal for me down here. I am not used to the common phrase down here is like, "Oh, it's only a black racer. Oh, it's only a small rattlesnake." I'm not used to seeing this stuff here.
Well, that friend of mine, Jay, that's got permissions and knows all these people at Gettison, we were hunting a spot on the ridge overlooking the river in Vicksburg. And, he convinced me to go out and buy snake chaps and all of that. So we were hunting. And then part of it is so overgrown, you had to get on your hands and knees. And you're crawling under these bushes with the detector. And after about 20 minutes, I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. If there's a snake in here, I'm in trouble. I said, no, I'll go back to the open areas.
Snake chaps ain't gonna help.
I'm sending my link to Barb because I completely forgot. I told her I'd send her a link at about 7:30, and I completely forgot to send it to her.
Yeah, I don't mind snakes. I actually used to catch them as kids. Me and my old buddy, we poisonous snakes. We used to bring them home. Parents would freak out.
All right, Barb, I just sent you the link, Barb. Matt got me distracted. No, it's different. As much as I love beach digging in New Jersey, I was always a dirt digger. So that's a big change down here for me. Is like I definitely do more beach hunting than I do dirt hunting because dirt is a premium, especially on this side of the state. It's a premium down here. If there's a piece of ground that can be paved over, they're going to pave over it here. So we're lucky.
But you got the critters you got to deal with too.
That you can dig in.
Right, you got the critters.
Well, the critters are every place, dude. I every other day you'll hear me scream like a little girl because something had jumped out of a box and landed on my. The lizards freaking love me down here. They're everywhere.
Well, up here you got the ticks have gotten really bad.
Yeah.
So what we found is that the Bravecto you give your dogs.
Yeah.
It keeps them from biting them, but it'll jump on them. Then they come back in the house, they jump off.
In the house.
So earlier this year, my wife took my shirt off. She goes, "What the hell is that?" And it was a tick. And sure enough, the next day I had that red ring and Lyme disease, and I had to get the antibiotics set up.
Not a big deal. Not that they're not down here, because I know they're down here somewhere. But where I am, the bugs that you may find in Jersey, stuff you may find in Jersey, we don't really see here.
No, I mean, that's, the deer ticks, you don't have them down in Mississippi. We never had to worry about it. Up here, yeah, you got to worry about it.
Oh, yeah. Different animal up there. Here, I'm just worried about, the rogue gator, which I've only seen one in 3 years. So I said, I'm not really sure they're a real thing. I've only seen one. Hold on, let me bring in Barb. There she is. Can you hear us, Barb?
Yeah.
All right. Barb, I told you 7:30 and we start talking and then
Oh, no, I've been enjoying the show. I love Andy. Really.
All right, so Barb, how first of all, Barb is doing, once again, she's doing hold on. I'll get it right. The Great Christmas metal detecting giveaway for kids 5 to 15.
I don't think you're right.
No, the Great Metal Detecting Christmas giveaway for kids 5 to 15 years of age.
There you go. And Barb's been doing it how many years now, Barb?
This is year 8.
No kidding.
And we've given over 70 detectors away, and I have 3, 6, 7 in my living room and 3 on the way from Russ Balberona. I have to think to say his name. I'm dyslexic, and it's too weird.
I think Charlene's got some coming to you too.
Yes, I so appreciate that.
I'm good. Now, how many kids are like? Our registration is open? I'm assuming now.
It's over 300.
No kidding.
And I love you. Whoop, see if I
I would
get.
have done 20 if I knew you need how many you needed.
I love these. Know why? Because we're doing the giveaway in honor of Mike Laclement, who just recently passed away.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a marble theme. And so I have to now open every one of these, Frank, to put marbles. And they're not just some are new marbles, but everybody will get a 1930s marble in their ugly puck. My dad left me probably 300 of them. Some of them worth money, but they're going to go to the kids. And so we have tokens and lots of coins, foreign coins. And so these babies are going to be filled to the max with stuff.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
So when I opened them, I was like, Frank, I love you.
I didn't know. I'm like, I'll send her 15. And I was going to make more. I don't know how many she needs. I'll send her 15. If she needs more and I can get them to her quick enough, I will.
You get cookies this year in Meridian. But Andy, I want to go back to Andy. Then we'll talk about the kids.
Go ahead.
I'm in the mountains of Western North Carolina. So it's like you can go a mile and you hit the national forest. You can go a quarter mile past that and you're not in it. So the lines are really just crazy. You know, they go around private property.
The problem is the Rangers know those lines. They're very familiar with the lines.
So I had a ring recovery, I don't know, 5 years ago maybe, in the Little Tennessee River, and they told me where it was. I'm like, I won't even come to you, call the Rangers and ask them, is it in the National Forest?
Right.
And she did. And she included me in the conversation. And I'm like, okay, let's go. We'll go look. We didn't find it, but I had another one a couple months ago that she lost a ring in the National Forest. And I'm like, I can't metal detect there. It's a $2,500 fine. I go to jail. They can take my detector. And she was like, you're like the fifth person I've talked to and no one else has told me that. And I'm like, well, they obviously don't know the rules.
Exactly.
And the internet isn't helping them learn them. That's for sure.
No, it's not. It's a lot of these videos you see that are posted. You're not allowed. Like, for example, you know, these guys magnet fishing in South Carolina. It's against the law in South Carolina to magnet fishing or to remove stuff without a permit.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. And you know, trying to tell, and this lady, I said, but you can call them if you know where you lost the ring. You can contact them and they will give us permission for me to look in that specific area, nowhere else.
Yep.
But you've got to get something in writing to provide to me from them, or
they'll send a ranger out with you. I've done that before where they'll have a ranger there, and you know, when you come out, he's going to want to see what you found. And as long as, you know, you're looking for a specific item, you can hunt that day and the ranger will be there.
And that's what I told her. And she was like, so you want me to do it? I'm like, well, I'm not doing it. If, you know, this ring is important to you, do the footwork to get us permission and I'll gladly go look for it.
Anybody that does hunting that wants to know property lines, you know, there's applications for your phone, Hunt Stand or Hunt on X. But Hunt Stand is, to me, is the cheaper option. It's nationwide, $29 a year. And you can see topo maps, you can see property overlays. It'll tell you who owns it as well.
That's
as
what I was going to ask you. Also, if you want to do door knocking, there's owners on there too.
And the mailing address. So if you look at it, you can say, okay, this address, but the mailing address is some other town, you know, it's an absentee landlord or a rental property, right? It just makes it really, really simple. You can bring it up as you're driving along and you can see who owns the property or where the boundaries are. Yeah. Now, I would never try to push right up there. It's got GPS.
It's going to get you real close, but you never can trust it 100%.
I'd stay 20 feet away at least. So, but at least you'll know if the recovery you're getting asked about is on national park or, you know, national forest.
Onyx has got me out of the woods a couple times.
Yeah, Onyx
I was.
What was that? Onyx?
Yeah.
Our Hunt Stand is the other one. Hunt Stand is the cheaper option.
There's
Yeah,
Hunt
Onyx,
Stand, there's
used to be
Regrid.
cheap.
I don't know what Regrid charges.
Yeah,
Okay.
Onyx used to be cheap, but it got expensive.
Well, because Blackwood Lumber was at the bottom of my road. It opened in 1934 and closed in, I think, 44. No, it opened in the 1920s. And then with World War II, it declined. But they had camps. My road goes over 10 miles.
Is that the script you were finding?
Yes. And so Camp 10 is at the top. So I need a map because Camp 10 is real close to the National Forest. And I want to hunt it this weekend, but I want to make sure I don't go over that line so that I'm legitimate. Camp 10 was one of the biggest camps because it was at the end of the property that they owned. And so they brought everything down the creek to the mill 10 miles down the road. But here's the thing. So hunting Blackwood Lumber, I found some merchandise tokens. And I thought they were Blackwood Lumber tokens. I could read 50 cents on one and $1 on a couple others. Well, once I got my ugly box and started cooking them, they say Norwood lumber on them instead of Blackwood. And, oh God, I think his name, he's in Tennessee, one of the detecting guys. And he did a video about finding Norwood lumber tokens. And so I contacted him and I said, man, I've got 3 of those. And I sent him pictures and he came back with, you do know that Norwood Lumber Company is now in the National Forest and it's illegal to hunt there. And I said, well, I didn't find them there. That's in the next county. I found them in my county at Blackwood Lumber. And he didn't want to discuss it. He really thought that I had broken laws. Well, after researching, because I've been researching for another American Digger article, my first one, I won 2nd place for the amateur writer. And it turns out they were sister companies. And when Norwood burned down, their workers either relocated to Blackwood, to a company in Nashville or a company in Tennessee. And so trying to explain to him, I found these legally, and I found it was Greg from Tennessee. And I was like, dude, I didn't break no laws. I found them in Cullowhee, North Carolina.
Yeah.
I got a Boise, Idaho cigar token in Jersey, so you can find this stuff other places.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, I think, 29 miles between the 2 lumber companies. So when your whole village burns down, most people are going to go to the closest one, which was 29 miles, which is a mile from my house. And because they were sister companies, they accepted their tokens.
Right. And that helped the people who were displaced by when it burned down.
Yeah. So,
I mean, to me, fines like that or I'd rather find something historic like that than a mercury dime or even a seeded coin. That gives you a direct touch. Several years ago in Illinois, I found a wedding ring, and Charlene, a research expert, turns out the markings inside were from a jeweler that went out of business in 1913. And the reason they went out of business is the owner of the company went down on the Titanic.
oh.
So
Well,
that's the kind of thing that I'd never get rid of that for that reason.
Yeah, some of those things that aren't necessarily the most awesome coin, they're the best stuff to keep. They're the best.
Oh.
They're the stuff I want to hang on to.
I agree. I got permission probably 8-9 years ago to hunt a good friend, her son, had just bought this really old property and it had a stone wall and a stone steps. There's like 20 steps from the road up to the house. And I'm like, I'd love to metal detect it. And so I found a lot of horse rings, a hand forged chain, which I gave to him, a hand forged shovel head that was, you could tell it was handmade. But I found a 1909 Astron Carnier ring from France.
No kid.
I kept that. And they know I kept it. I'm like, I'll give you everything else, but I really want to keep this. It was gold plated. I forget what kind of stone. And I said, why would it be out there under the apple trees? And they're like, this whole area used to be a cabbage farm back in the 1940s. And so a worker from France obviously lost that ring.
Oh, that's what I love, like orchards or pecan orchards, especially pecan grows in Georgia. They're all hand picked back then, and we do pretty well in those. Find some old personal items that are just cool.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to have Andy on again because I love listening to him. And I do have his Deus book, so I'll plug that. This is a lifesaver because I don't change my brakes often on my tones, and I had to reset my detector. And when you do that or upgrade, you lose all your programs. And I go, oh my God, how do I do that? And if it wasn't for this book, I would never figure it out. Never.
Well, we talked about social media. I'm sure there's YouTube videos, and some might help you. And unfortunately, a lot of them, there's a lot of bad information out there too.
Yeah, but the thing is it's really easy to understand. I mean, I'm over 60 something, and YouTube is great. I learned to build the ramp and build the railing and all that. But a lot of times with metal detector stuff, I'm that visual. Let me read it and absorb it.
And the thing is, and I hear, well, in this day and age, everybody and their grandmother's coming out with a book. And I hear guys comparing. If you haven't picked up one of Andy's books, the difference between someone's experience swinging a coil and someone's experience swinging a coil and tell you why a machine does what it does and how to operate it in a read that's you understand. There is no comparison. If you're not picking up, if you need a book for the machine you have and you're not picking up Andy's book, you're making a huge mistake.
Well,
there's a reason why my shelf is lined with them.
I run CT Todd's.
He didn't tell me about Auto -3. I didn't realize that.
I run CT Todd's program for the D1 at the lumber company. It is very highly mineralized soil, and if you run any of the basic programs, you're not going to dig anything but 1 to 2 inches.
And
that's it.
You're running to what, the Deus one, you said?
Yeah. And so I do his 5-tone break, and when I had to reset it, I was like, oh my God. And then I went, wait a minute, where's your book? And I keep all my books together. And I had to read it once or twice. I'm like, yes, that's how you do it. Okay. And, when you haven't done it in a year.
And what you just said there, Barb, that's what you won't find in the other ones.
Exactly.
You have that one thing, and you can go through the book and read, even if you got to read through 10 pages 10 times. That's what Andy's books have that the other ones don't have.
Well, I watched a video before I bought the book, and they're like, you do this, and what are they doing? And they're going through it so fast, you even pausing it.
I love it when they do it. Here, all you got to do is this, and they got it up here. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, they're like, but they're doing it so fast, and I'm like, I'm dyslexic, and it's like, okay, I can sit and read a book and figure it out. And once I do it, I can do it the next day. But once you don't do it for a month, then it's like, it's like, where's my book so I can put my brakes back in? Because I've tried numerous brakes, and CT Todd's work the best for this soil here.
Well, and that's why, the people I pick for the books are people that know how to use the machine, but also can explain why they set it, so you can look at it and make some adjustments for your area. Instead of saying, I look at even now, between the Manicore and the Deus and the Noctis, well, try the Jethro program or the Silver Slayer. It's like, it's just copying somebody. It may work in your area, Frank, but it doesn't work in my area.
Exactly. If you're not,
you
if
tell
you're
me
not
why
building
you
it
said
for your
it,
condition, if you're not using it for your own conditions, then the guy from Northern Canada, his mode's not going to really help me. Has to be for where you're at.
Exactly.
We talked about social media, but Barb brought up a good point. So she's still hunting with a Deus One. So you would think that when the Deus 2 came out, what is the Deus 1 not work anymore?
Obsolete, baby. Throw it away.
I don't want to knock the Manicore, but the 800. Guess what? It still works.
I have one of those too.
but when these new machines come out, it doesn't make everything else obsolete.
The coins I found with my 1265 Fisher 30 some odd years ago, I still found those coins with that machine.
Yeah.
Hey, I started with an Ace 350. And day one, I found a target, couldn't find it, didn't have a pinpointer. The pinpointer came the next day. This is 10, 11 years ago. I went back knowing where that signal was, and it was a penny. But I was tickled. I found the day penny. But I found 2 rings that day with that 350. And 5 days later, I went to Massachusetts and hit my mother's yard because I'm like, I really need to learn this thing. And I dug a silver bracelet and a 14 karat gold class ring with the 350.
I had that CTX on really, really good fields, swinging right next to a guy swinging an Ace 250. And you know what? He was on that field. He was target for target with it. Just because it's not the most expensive machine in the shed, doesn't mean that machine's not finding stuff. And 10 years, 15 years later, it's still finding stuff.
If you watch the YouTube videos, it makes it seem if you don't have the latest and greatest, you're not going to find a damn thing. There's plenty of people that an Ace 350, if they're hunting tot lots or schools, it's all you need.
Honey, I found a silver barber quarter. It's toast. It was on the beach on Cape Cod. I had left the Martha's Vineyard after visiting my mom and went to my sister's, and we hit the beach, and she's like, let's turn around because we were almost to a jetty. I went, no, I got to detect all the way to the rocks there. And not 4 inches from it, here's a barber quarter, and it was toast. It was black, but you could see it was barber. Yep. And that was with the I knew that 350. I love it. And the only reason I got rid of it, my great niece has it. Okay. And so she uses it to detect.
Well,
but
listen, how many newbies came out there and they went to the AT Pro, and the AT Pro in that novice mode had that ding. Well, you know what? The pros were like, oh, who needs that ding? But that ding found enough coins for guys who stuck with that hobby because of that. And that little ding found a lot of coins for a lot of people, and it kept them in the hobby, and they moved through the ranks. And Celeste has got the AT Pro to this day. It's literally held together with duct tape. You can't pry it out of her fingers. She won't let go of it. She's 10, 11, 12 years using it.
My second machine was an AT Pro. I bought it about 8 months after the 350, and I hit a ballpark with it and dug 7 silver dimes out of left field, a 1909 barber dime, 3 Mercs and maybe 4 Rosies. I don't know. But in one day, I got the trifecta, the barber, 2 Mercs, and a Rosie.
Well, Andy turned us on to a recovery, and it was a little piece of property, a very, very small backyard, and there was a lot of boat. The guy had a boat, he had a camper, he had grills. And I told her, I said, this CTX is going to go nuts over a lot of stuff. I said, bring the AT Pro. She found it in 10 minutes. She found that AT Pro, that basic AT Pro machine is still
that recovery I sent you.
Yeah, she found it. I can't take credit for it. She hit it with the AT Pro.
I toasted my AT Pro. I took it underwater for the first time. It was maybe 8 years old. And I found the ring. It didn't die in the water. I went all the way to...
Where'd you go, Barb? You froze up, Barb.
Well, when Equinox came out, there was a dealers meeting out in I think it was Las Vegas, and Charlesworth, who was the CEO at the time,
Right.
he stood up there in front of the dealers, not only from the U.S. but internationally. He says, "MindLab will never again build a single frequency machine. Multi-frequency is the only way to go."
Yeah.
Well, Nokta obviously proved him wrong when the Simplex came out.
Exactly.
And how many times, even with the Equinox, how many times have you had to go to single frequency due to EMI?
Listen, if you're a competition hunter, you're not swinging half those machines in multi-frequency.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
So, single frequency, you don't have to have the best, but you need to understand your machine. So the guy that understands his $200, $300 machine better than the guy that just bought a $1,600 Manicore or a $1,500 Deus 2, he'll outperform him every single time. My wife still does not use a multi-frequency detector. Hers are all single frequency, but she knows that machine. I mean, she'll get a signal. She asks me to check it. I'm like, I don't know. She goes, I think it's good. And turns out she's right. But she knows that machine better than I do.
I
swear it's like with I'm back to the CTX, and I swear, it's a high performance machine, but the fact that I know it the way I know it makes me very more comfortable with that machine.
Exactly.
I love my D1, and when D2 came out, I was like, man, should I get one of those? And I watched some videos. It seems a lot more complicated than the D1.
Well, complicated is the key word for this generation of machines that's coming out. Sorry, it is. It's
well, just, and I don't want to discount the Deus 2, because I've got one.
Right.
But they say, well, it's waterproof. Okay, well, I'm not taking a $1,600 detector in the water. That's fine. Well, it's multi-frequency. Okay, well, when I go to England, we're typically running the Deus 1 with the X35 coil, so I'm not sure what it's buying me. The fact that it's waterproof, if I'm caught out in the rain, it's a plus. But guess what? The headphones still aren't waterproof.
Right.
So, is it worth the extra $1,000 to go from a Deus 1, especially with these Black Friday deals, to a Deus 2?
Well,
I know.
The thing is, they've gotten, and the internet is doing this too. They've gotten people to the point where this package will solve all your problems. And they've forgotten how to buy a machine based on what you. If I'm never going in the ocean, if I'm digging my backyard, buying a $2,500 machine may not necessarily be the option I have to have. No, they don't. They have forgotten to buy what you need.
Frank, how many posts do you see? I'm ready for the season, and they've got 10 detectors hanging on the wall. Seriously? So you don't know any of them well, but you've got 10 detectors.
Right, exactly.
Well, I will play devil's advocate on one thing. Like when the CTX first came out, I had the AT Pro, Excalibur 2, and I think my Sovereign GT still. And I was talking to my dad about it. My dad's not metal detecting, doesn't even like history much. And he's like, well, what will it do? I'm like, well, it's supposed to do a few more things. I said, I just want to try a true multi-frequency. And he said, will you find stuff with it? I said, yeah. He said, you find stuff with your stuff now? I said, yeah. He said, but will you enjoy it more with the new one? I said, possibly. He said, well, then get it. He said, because it's all about enjoying your hobby. So if that's what will get your enjoyment and make you want to learn something else.
Exactly.
I knew the AT Pro like the back of my hand.
And
yes.
You probably learned the CTX 3030.
Oh, well, see, a lot of people don't realize when I first got hurt, my doctor said before my second surgery, he said, you need to keep moving because that's what's going to keep you limber. If you don't, you're going to get atrophy in your back and your arm, and you're not going to be able to move as well. So I treated detecting like a job. I went out 6-7 days a week. I spent 80 plus hours a week actual detecting, not just driving around, actual detecting time with my CTX. And I learned it like, I would say like most people say they knew it. Now, I couldn't tell you why it did what it did, like some people, but I knew what it was telling me.
But here's the thing, and I want to say this to all, because I more and more as we get into these new machines, more and more recently, including myself, guys are pulling the CTX out of the closet, and I keep seeing guys going back to the CTX. And I'm going to tell you something. When the CTX came out, and I was one of the guys, I pulled it out, I was like, oh my God, I wrapped my head around this machine. Take that CTX 3030, the guys who know it, the guys who use the CTX, and put it among the machines that have come out in the past 2 years. Guess what? CTX is the easier machine to use now.
Oh, I would definitely still have a CTX.
I still use it, and it still finds more than some of the newer machines do.
Absolutely. The CTX is now the easier machine. I've written programs, and I have Andy's programs on there. Guess what? I don't use any of them. I run it open screen. I wrote a program, and I only use my tones. I don't. It is extraordinarily rare that I ever change my settings on that CTX, because again, it has so many frequencies. It kind of self-adjusts to most places. But it has gone from this absolute college degree machine that you need to easier than these newer machines at half the price.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, till I'm blue in the face, I'll say it again. I would still have a CTX if it wasn't for my injury. It went out, I can only last maybe 2 hours detecting, and I'm dead. With my back and my spine, it kills me.
Listen, there's no hiding the fact that machine is out of everything that's out there. You know,
I've tried to swing
stuff. It's a heavy machine. It's very well balanced.
Supports with it, and so I had to get rid of it. And when the Equinox came out, I was like, well, here's something that may work just as good or close to it and be lighter at least.
It's a good machine.
And I like my Equinox, and the main reason I got the Manicore is because, the sale that's on. And
as for single frequency like the Simplex, I have yet to meet someone who has said, "Oh, I hate that Simplex." I have yet to meet someone that didn't like that Simplex because of its simplicity, and it's a good machine.
I love it for freshwater hunting.
The next generations of machines, and I can't even go on the sites anymore because not only are there's so many variations to all of these new machines, so many variations of the modes and the settings, and if you speak to one that you like, 10 other people are going to call you an asshole, and they're not going to, they'll attack you on the page. It's just.
Well, I bought many updates have come out. Like only for water hunting. Only for freshwater hunting.
Every one of these has got updates after update after update. Yeah. I work with Nokta on the Legend, and I said, look, I'm not going to put a book out until you go and lock this thing down. So 1.09, I said, we're done, we're moving on to the next project. I put the book out, and 1.10 comes out, and 11 and 12. And we're up to 19. We're up to 1.19. It's like I've given up chasing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing and again, it seems that the technology not only is it moving forward so quickly, and again, not singling out any machine, but where the jumps are taking place in the technology, are we really gaining a lot? And as we gain something, what are we taking away from?
Well, here's the problem with a digital platform. Anytime you make a change to a digital platform, you need to go back to square one and test the entire detector from square one.
System.
Not just the new feature does this. You've now undone, the tone is different, it doesn't separate as well. There's something that's different. Now they say, well, you can go back. Well, they don't go back all the way. And a lot of the people with the Legend say 1.05 was the best. You can't get to 105. Right. So they add that. And some of the features that get added have made something that was fairly easy to navigate so complex that I need to go out in the field with the user's manual, which I refuse to do.
Right.
And
Well,
they do that because, well, if you take coins and wrap them with aluminum and put them on a plastic rock
because I
fused
find that all the time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing,
So,
I
hey,
say this. You remember the
hang
movie
on.
Apollo 13? When
Hang
he's
on,
in
Frank.
the
Let's
Apollo
get
13,
Barbara
he's
to
in the
talk about
simulator
the
and he's
Christmas
trying to
thing.
get all this stuff working with this much energy. Remember,
All right,
you're
Barb.
not plugged in. You've got
balls.
this much energy, and every system on that machine has to share it. And the more
All right,
that you
Frank,
have running in the background, the more you have running at one time. Something.
Frank, let Barb talk about her project.
Barb,
A lot
talk
of
about your
people are going to
project, Barb.
enjoy Christmas because of
I,
it.
I do have one. It's okay. I'm cool. I do have one thing though. Andy earlier, before I came on, he was talking about how deep detectors go, but a PI machine will go deeper normally if you know what you're doing.
People, I mean, if you're going to relic hunt in the red dirt in Virginia PI machine, I would never use a PI machine even on the beach. I just can't dig fish hooks at 12 inches, 18 inches. I knew guys in California that said when the PIs became mainstream, I'm going to buy one because there's got to be a layer of gold rings on the beach. And in about a week or two after digging bottle caps and fish hooks at 12 or 18 inches, said, nah, I think I'll stick with the BLF machines.
But I can say I did dig a pull tab at 14 inches in Virginia. Got lots of
Yeah.
bullets too, but I was shocked when I got a pull tab.
There's a place for those PI machines where they're going to shine.
Yeah.
Just going into a PI machine, knowing you're going to dig pretty much everything.
Everything.
Yeah. And I know, but coins sound like they sing like birds with the GPX. I mean, they are just sound beautiful. But okay, so the kids metal detecting Christmas giveaway for kids 5 to 15 years old airs on Friday the 6th at between 4 and 5 o'clock. We'll go to 10, 11 o'clock that night, and then Saturday will be an all-day event from probably 10 in the morning till 10 at night. And then Sunday, I leave for Virginia to metal detect. So all of the contests will be pre-programmed to start. So I can't drive and do contests. And and Scott McClure is an monitor for us, and he's going to end the few Sunday contests that there are for me. And when I get to Virginia, I will finalize them once I get checked in.
Scott McClure, he's going to be giving away your furniture and stuff.
No, he did really good helping me last year. And actually, he finds all the crazy people in the contest that are breaking the rules and doing what they shouldn't be.
Scott's good.
So how do we support you?
Just send me anything. Swag is what I need. I have plenty of metal detectors. I have one for every age group. Chuck is with Shooters and Prospectors. Once I don't know what I'm getting from Russ yet. He was supposed to email me, but he didn't. He called me on my cell phone and told me he was sending me 3 detectors. So once I get those, then I called Josh and Kimball with Beyond Sight and Sound, and we determine which detector goes to which age group. So each age group gets to play for one detector. So they're not competing with 300 people.
Right.
I think the lowest age group is 16 and the highest is like 31. And so you got pretty good odds to win a detector in your age group.
Is this a clean your toilet event?
There's always a you better have a clean toilet event, always. And Andy hasn't ever watched the show. So what we do is I will say, okay, like all of Frank's ugly pucks, they will go in boxes. I've got the boxes stacked up. So I got a huge batch of fines pouches, the pucks, hats. I've got coins, tokens, marbles. And so we make boxes and I number every single one of those. And so last year we had about 90 prizes that we sent out.
Awesome.
Our shipping bill last year was $520. The year before was $595. It's all covered by donations. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 500, almost 500 for shipping already collected. And so we'll tell them, go find some type of animal and pick a number between 200 and 500 and put it on that animal, or put it on your toilet. Put the animal on your toilet with the number, and they have to take a picture and submit that to enter that contest. And so we make them do crazy things, but the kids love it. I mean, they really do. You're going. So I already posted on the page. If you haven't cleaned your toilet, make sure you have a clean toilet on December 6th. And put, if you know, you know. And of course, all the adults are laughing because they know they need to have a clean toilet by the 6th.
No, I'm just not entering the contest.
You can't. You're over 15. You can't.
I look so young.
Yeah.
Barb,
So
you still need swag?
I can take all the swag you want to send me.
We got a bunch. We can go ahead and send you. Also, I'll send you a list. You can tell me what you want. We'll throw it in the box for you.
Just send it. I
Okay.
need it. I need it by the 6th. I'm starting to make boxes tonight. I sit here every night and tape boxes and start filling them and numbering them. And we've given over 70 metal detectors away. So this year will put us over 80 detectors that we have given away to kids in 8 years.
Barb, let me interrupt you for 1 second. Hashtag kids. Hashtag what? Hashtag Barb. Put it up on the screen. So I'm making the list right now. I don't have the wheel. I'm not as fancy as Steve, but I'm making the random.org list. And so hashtag Barb, and we'll spin for the prizes because we're already a half hour over now.
All right.
Barb.
And I just put the link to the Facebook page for anybody that wants to join.
All right, Frank. My question to anybody that's still on is, what year did I start metal detecting?
All right, there we go. We got a couple prizes. What year did Andy start metal detecting? First right answer gets Andy's detecting pack. I don't even know it. So
I don't know.
put a year up there. No, Andy did not detect with Abraham Lincoln.
Well, Andy signed my book, but you didn't put that answer on there, Andy.
I'll
It's
say
about me.
82.
Go look at the page about me.
Well, my book starts with, it's dedicated to Alan.
Yep. Keep going.
Can you see the chat, Andy?
I'll say 1982. I have no idea.
No, it's before then.
No, I'm going to.
It's got a 6. It's got a 1, 9, and 6 in it.
Yeah, I was going to say it had to be in the 60s.
60.
It was 50 years ago, and this book is
1836.
What were you going to say? You almost had it there.
it's 50 years ago, but this book was published for 6 years, so that doesn't help me pick it which year. Oh, wait, you signed it, 119. So, what is it? 24, 20, that's 1967? I'm close, but not quite.
Close, but not exactly.
Dang it!
Somebody can post it, and Frank will tell me who gets it, and just provide a mailing address. We'll ship it off to you.
Oh, they had to have picked it. We've got I'm scrolling.
7.
We've got 67, 65, 76, 77, 76, 73, 73.
64.
Mike posted 1836. We've got 1965, 74, 72, 09, 70, 75, 76, 64.
Well, 64's got it. December 64, Christmas of 1964.
That's
There's a lot of
Ronald Brown.
64.
Ronald
There's a
Brown.
lot of
Ronald
64.
Brown can send us an email to Frank. He'll get it to me with his mailing address.
Ronald Brown, PM me, send me an email to Ugly Gear USA, or PM me at DA Frank Flippergoal, and I'll get it to Andy, and you get the pack. You get the Andy Sabisch Adventure Pack.
Awesome.
And make sure anybody that can support Barb. She'll go ahead and Put whatever you got to good use.
There is still time. Listen, even if you want to send Barb $5 for shipping, send her something. This is Christmas. It's about the kids. It's awesome.
And I do this totally for free.
Absolutely. Barb doesn't make any. Barb had extra money one year and put it away till the following year.
I do that every year. I keep a spreadsheet. Everything is in Excel. It's why I don't get rid of my old Dell here, because I have Excel on it. And so I know exactly how much money I bought.
Barb,
stuff.
Your old Dell is like 20 years newer than Matt's computer.
Probably.
No. It's a 2018, so it's not that old.
It's still older. It's newer than mine. Mine's, I think this is a 14.
Her name is Adele.
Adele. All right, guys, we're taking. I got. Forget the hashtag. I've got everybody's name that's on the list. Whoever wins it wins it. This is for the ugly box. The look at that artwork. Look at that.
Oh, I like that.
This is for this was the first one that was built when I got the shop back up and running.
And I can tell you, people, you have to have an ugly box. I have the ancient ugly box, but it's when I cleaned all those Blackwood lumber tokens. I have free meal tokens. I have merchandise tokens, payday tokens. I thought I had a $1 payday token. It turns out to be a 1 cent payday token. So can you imagine getting paid? And I have a 10-cent one too. Can you imagine someone dropping a 10-cent and a 1 cent payday token in your hand?
Seriously, that's awesome. And the thing I like, the stories I like, isn't that necessarily they come out new. My favorite cooks on the ugly box are the stuff that were blobs and you get a date or you get an ID off it. That's the stuff I like the best on. All right, we got a winner, guys. We got a winner for the 2024 Hurricane Summer 2024 Ugly Box, and the winner is Ian Aiken.
Oh, congrats, Ian.
Ian Aiken, congratulations, brother. You know what? Hit me up quickly because I got a box of stuff that's going out to you that you won maybe a couple weeks ago.
I got my box quicker than you did, Ian.
So now I have to send this box out, Ian.
I'm still waiting on a shovel that I left it at your house.
What shovel is that? You were supposed to come down. Last thing you told me was I'm coming down.
But everything got screwed up, and he ended up going without me. So
well, I sold that shovel stuff.
Oh, okay.
You need to promise one thing, Frank.
What's that?
You'll have Andy on again in a couple months because I
love open invitation. Andy can be on anytime he wants.
Well, Barb, are you going to be down in Meridian?
Yes, I'm coming. I want to meet you.
I'm going to be there, and actually, like I said, I lived about 80 miles from there, so I've got some sites. If you want to do some Civil War hunting after the hunt,
absolutely.
Take you and Frank down. We'll do some hunting.
Awesome.
I tried to get our buddy Greg Papalo on tonight. He had to work, but because he wanted to come on because Andy's coming and setting up shop in Meridian. He wanted to come on and talk, but he had to work. And we will be on the 9th. Greg will be on the 9th of December. The website will be open for tickets, and we will be talking Meridian a lot.
Oh,
and research. A curled up rattlesnake.
I need to know if Andy likes oatmeal cookies like you, Frank, or if he likes chocolate chip better.
I like any cookie, Barb. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Andy gets chocolate chip. Frank gets Grandma's famous oatmeal cookie recipe.
All right. That's awesome. Barb, again, I told you next week we'll be right before. If you want to pop on and give us an update again, I'll have you back on to let us know how everything's working out.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Barb.
We didn't touch on half the stuff I wanted to touch on.
It's okay. The giveaway, I put the Facebook link in the chat. It's on Facebook. Just ask to join. You got to do it by Sunday at midnight.
Put it on Detect America page, Barb.
I did already, and this week it'll go on every Facebook metal detecting page again. So, when in doubt, go to DA or Dirt Pirates, and you'll find the link for it. And I'm out of here.
All right, Barbie. Thank you. I called her. She usually says, "Don't call me Barbie," but it's all right. Andy, thank you so much, buddy.
All right, man.
Always a pleasure to have you on, man. And yeah, we'll have you back on. We want to talk Meridian and Mississippi.
Well, I'll tell you, my buddy from Mississippi just had to text me a curled up picture of that rattlesnake. So you get a chance to meet him when we're down there.
Frank ain't going to leave the dang little open area because there's too many chances of snakes down there.
I'm just going to wrap myself in like aluminum and walk around the field that way. I'm not a snake fan. But
well, you're going to draw heat to you, and they're going to seek you out.
You're trying to scare me like you try to scare me going over that Sunshine Death Bridge. I won't go over.
All right, man,
guys, we're wrapping it. Steve, wish you were here. What happened to Andy?
He left.
Andy, I think Andy kicked the plug out of his computer. All right. Anyway, thank you, Andy. I appreciate it. Matt, thanks as usual, bud.
No problem.
And we're gonna do a giveaway with one of your new items.
Yeah, I got a little coil stiffener for the Manicore. Or
coil stiffener. That's the
yoke stiffener.
The yoke, yeah, the yoke.
It works pretty well. I put it in mine, and this is better than that solid one I made. These are.
So we'll be on next week. We'll give away a yoke stiffener, and we'll be back. And Stevie will probably be back. And Steve, I hope the splinter in your toe gets better, buddy. All right, man. Matt, thanks, buddy. And
no problem, man. We'll see you.
And I got to run to shut the other thing off. All right, brother. See you later.
All right. Bye. Oh, well, while he does that for a minute.
Hold on.
Great being on. Yep, and he forgot to shut this off.
I did. I forgot there's two buttons.
Bye.
Come on.